turned therapist. Our focus in these episodes is to humanize the athlete experience beyond the lines of their arena. In this podcast, we will explore the whole athlete, highlighting the mental, emotional, and social aspects of their journey.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Millennium Counseling Center podcast. If you've heard my voice before, this is Lyda Robinson, one of the clinical interns at Millennium. And I'm here again with the one, the only Derick Boyd, Dr. Derick Boyd, in the flesh. And today, say hi first, sorry.
Hi. I always appreciate your introduction of me more than my own introduction to myself because you do such a great job. I appreciate that, Lyda.
We kind of want to get in the flow. We said it's kind of hard to start these introductions sometimes because you're like, well, because we were kind of pre-briefing before the podcast and we were kind of going back and forth and then we're like, wait, we actually got to start recording this. So, but anyway, so today we want to talk about one thing that has been on my mind a little bit lately, and that is what our first years look like post-sport. And to kind of dive into that, and our stories are very different. So, Derick, D. Boyd, I like calling you D. Boyd because we have two Derricks at Millennium. But so D. Boyd, start us off.
Sure.
Tell me your story of what kind of walk me through like your experience and what post-sports look like for your first year.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I like you said, I think everybody's sports story is just a little bit different of their first year outside of sport. I think for me, I never saw myself going to college in the first place. So I didn't really have a lot of expectation as far as like school or anything like that. But I got recruited to play at a small community college right out of high school, maybe in August. So it was like almost like towards the end of the summer that I got recruited, and I got like a half scholarship.
You started school like late August, right?
Very late. Very late. I feel like everyone already had their schedules and everything. And I signed up for classes. I knew nothing about college. My parents didn't go to college. I'm a first generational college student.
So it's all very new.
Very new. Knew nothing about college at all. So I went to college, and when I signed up for classes, because I knew nothing about like coursework or anything like that, they just assigned us advisors. We all had assigned advisors for different sports.
Okay.
And so my advisor made my schedule. I didn't even make my own schedule. So I didn't know what my degree or anything was going towards where it's going towards. So the reason why that is important is I think a lot of times the goal for college athletes sometimes is to be eligible and not to be educated. And so I thought college was very, very easy. I took a lot of classes that amounted to nothing. Like on my transcript, there was a course that I took that was called basketball class. And it was just practice. Like that was it. It was, if I went to practice for the year, I got an A in that class. So it just didn't go towards anything. So when I played my 4 years of basketball, that first year when it was over, I didn't have anything going towards a degree. Like I still had 2 years left of an education.
Yeah, normally people are graduating by then.
Absolutely.
Like they're ready to be done. Okay.
Absolutely. So it took me 6 years to graduate with a 4-year degree. And after that, I was done with sport. That 5th year, I was like, what classes have I taken that has gone towards something? And I realized a lot of my electives have gone towards psychology because I felt like psychology was easy to me. It came natural. People, I was very vigilant of people. So I did a lot of people watching throughout my life. So watching people and understanding people became really easy to me. So I just took a lot of classes like that because it was also an easy A.
Yeah.
So then I committed to psychology. But that first year out of basketball, I think I was honestly really, really lost. Basketball had given me a place of belongingness. I don't know that I missed the sport too much just because I didn't have a great relationship with my last coach.
Sure.
So I was ready to be done, but I did miss belonging to something. That was really, really important to me. So that first year I was really lost. But that's broad, my story. Yeah.
Okay.
But what about you? What was your story like?
Yeah, so mine, you guys have seen from previous podcasts, I played at St. Xavier for 5 years. I did take my 5th year, so I was able to have that extra year of eligibility. And that first year for me, and I kind of relate to you on that of my last year playing, I didn't really have a great experience fully. And I think that's kind of what helped me transition out easier.
Yeah.
I was ready to be done. Maybe part of it was, the issues I had, with the dynamic of coaches or whatever it was at the time.
Sure.
But I think just maybe it was because it was my 5th year too. I was just ready to kind of be done and move on. I also too was already applying and prepping for grad school.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew what I wanted to do. I already knew I wanted to go into counseling. And so I was doing all the paperwork. I'm also a grad assistant at North Park too. So I had to figure out all of that of like the hiring process for that. So I was already starting the second chapter of my life before I even finished the first one.
Wow.
So it was a really easy switch over. So I think that's kind of why it wasn't hard for me. And I think we relate to that, but I think some people don't. I mean, I know former teammates from other schools and that have a really hard time with the adjustment of being done and what that looks like. You see it a lot in males. I mean, a lot of the football players, basketball players, whoever it was, they reminisce a ton. I see it all the time on social media. They're always posting about it. It's always like their vice, and it was at the time. And so, what they're doing now, I don't know, but it's always a constant thing that we're being reminded of online too, of like where we kind of were and where we're trying to go now. I did a few things too. I mean, I went on vacation for the first time with my fiance. We went right after we graduated, like went on a trip. And then I just started getting ready for grad school. So I graduated in May and I was already at North Park in August. So
I'm curious with you and your story. What do you feel like helped you give you direction? Like what made that transition easier? Did you have like certain guidance or resources or mentor? Like why were you so like in the know of what to do next?
It's funny you say that because I had a therapist at the time.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm no longer with that therapist. Sometimes that happens in the therapeutic world. You just kind of find something that may work better for you. But at the time, he was incredibly important and vital for me. And that transition of like, he knew that I could do it. He kind of gave me that, I guess, the you can do it type thing. Like, I believe in you. I know you can. And I think just having that support along with my family, my fiance, it's important to have a good support system with you, because if you don't, then, you might second guess what you're doing. And I had people telling me like, I think that's the perfect field for you. I think it's where you need to be. And even though it was hard to make that decision, I'm glad I did. And I mean, here I am now. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was having my own therapist to help guide me, who also, believe it or not, he had an athletic background. He played football at Northwestern. So he understood that toxic environment that you can be in.
Absolutely.
And so I think that was extremely helpful for me to kind of recognize that this chapter's closing and I need to kind of prepare for the next one coming up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Super dope. Yeah. I was just thinking about like the different, like just variables that make it like easier or harder for people to make that transition. I know for me, it was a little bit different because like for Black men, like a lot of our representation is within sports or entertainment or music.
Totally.
And so losing that identity, like there was no like blueprint to like what to do next. My parents didn't talk to me about going to college. I had a high school teacher that really talked to me about going to college for the first time. And that was like my senior year, but that was the only person that's ever talked to me about like doing something other than athletics. And so when I was done, I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know who to go to. It's not like I could go to my parents for guidance. Like I was genuinely just trying to pull on like what are my resources. And if I'm being really honest, there might have been resources that were in place as far as like maybe therapy or I don't know, like scholarships for grad school. I don't even know that I would have trusted those resources because I genuinely didn't have a blueprint to like someone who's done that before, who looked like me. So that was just very new. I was just very lost for a long time.
Well, I think it shows that the importance of too, we talked about it in our meeting this morning about how, we get prepped for go to college, some of us, and like you said, not everybody, but then like after college or after high school, like if you're not kind of having any guidance, is like, what do you do? Especially being an athlete, is like either you go to college and play a sport or you go, good luck. There was no like, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? Like, we can help you get, go to a different school or whatever that incorporates whatever you're interested in, whether it's psychology or biology or whatever it may be, pre-med. I think there's that lack of that, especially that high school to college transition, and then especially that college to the real world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, during that, you try to cling on to, like when you don't know, you try to cling on to things that are as familiar as possible. Like I'm going to coach for a little bit or I found out about sports psychology. I didn't even know there was such thing as sports psychology.
Really?
Once I heard about that, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I'm just gonna keep doing
that's
this.
the bread and butter for
That's
you.
That's it. Like, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing this. So I just clung onto those things. I did some substitute teaching for a little bit, but I was literally just trying to like figure it out and just scramble things together.
Yeah.
Really.
So I guess I'm wondering then for you is what if, because I think that our timelines are a little different of like when we were done.
Yep.
But if you could go back and what you know now, what do you think you would change within that first year of post-sport?
It's a really hard question about what I would change, because I feel like having that adversity of not knowing, like it did kind of like bring back alive this like athlete part of me of like wanting to figure it out. I kind of like enjoyed the resiliency that comes with adversity. And honestly, just my life has been about like survival. So I'm like, I'm very used to that.
Yeah.
But I think if there was something that I probably needed during the time, I really needed somebody to like love and care about me. I need to matter to somebody. And for somebody that was like, I think I mattered to somebody, but I need somebody that was smarter than me. I think,
like a mentor or something like that?
A mentor, a therapist, somebody. And I'm hard. I don't trust people easy. I still struggle with trust. I still struggle.
That's for another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if there was like one thing that I needed, and I feel like that was throughout my story and that's got me to this point in my life, it was always someone that was very pivotal, that cared about me enough, that told me I mattered enough, that was a little bit smarter than me, that helped me give me guidance. And that was what I needed.
Okay. So do you think that you are that person now do you feel like you kind of full circle moment of like you're, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I mean, I know Derick a little bit, but I think I see that he is definitely a mentor for others.
Yeah.
And it's very funny that you say that because you didn't have that.
You're not about to make me cry. I tell you that.
It's almost full circle, you know?
Yeah. You're not going to make me cry on this podcast. I can tell you that. But one of the first things that I said when I was done and I graduated and I told my mentor, thank you. I said, thank you for helping me become the person that I needed when I was younger. So that was like,
that's powerful.
Really important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, girl. See? Nope. You will not get me. You will not get me.
No, it's just funny because a lot of the time, especially for counselors, like there's a reason why they're in what we're in. And I think for me, now that we're talking about it, what would I have changed? I don't know if I would have. I think maybe the way I reacted to certain things and just knowing what I know now about empathy and compassion and like, people do things for a reason and there's always something behind it. But I think the biggest thing for me is just knowing that I think full circle for me moment is that I want to be that person that my therapist was for me. And I think I see that with my clients now. I think that I'm allowing them this space to be completely themselves.
Sure.
And I felt that way with my therapist.
Wow.
And so that's my full circle moment of like, I know that I'm in the right place. But, if you're listening to this podcast and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, they're doing all these things now and I'm just kind of starting out my first year out, kind of find something that you're passionate about and go with it. Yeah. Whether that's fitness, whether that's coaching, we said like, we kind of Derick said he kind of found things that he kind of grabbed for. But if that's what you really are passionate about, go for it. Like you don't have to do something crazy different or go into corporate world that's a topic for another day of like athletes going into the corporate world. It's like, my personal opinion is I don't think it works all the time unless you want to climb the ladder. But yeah, I mean, just finding what you love and what you enjoy doing and what brings you contentment and joyfulness, I think is really important when finding a career post-grad.
Yeah. This is my own curiosity, kind of segue a little bit. Earlier you were talking about that, when you were looking back to like what could have been different or what you needed, you said maybe you could have reacted to things different and then you learned about like compassion and empathy. Did you ever get to the point of like having compassion and empathy for the way that you reacted during that time? Like for
Look
yourself?
At you.
That's right. You try to get me? You try to get me? I gotta know.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think I remember the moment and I won't talk about it. Like I won't bring it to light.
Yeah.
But I think I remember a specific moment where I felt myself kind of going into this panic in this situation I was in. And looking back now, I give myself compassion because I was like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I thought I was standing up for what I believed in and I knew I did it. I just wish I would have done it differently of like, I wish I had more confidence and more assertiveness when I was saying it. And it really felt that I was weak and kind of vulnerable in that space at the time of where I was at. And so I think, looking back is like, I need to give myself more compassion of the way I handled some situations that final year that kind of led me to kind of be ready to be done. But obviously can't change how it happened.
No,
but
absolutely not.
The growth is what's important.
That's right.
And yeah, I love that you kind of came back at me
right. Absolutely. I'm definitely going to come get you. But I love your ability to like reframe in that moment. You don't know what you don't know. You did the best job you could for what you understood at that time, but you gave yourself grace. Like that was beautiful.
If there's anything to close us out, is there any advice that you would give to athletes that are first starting out or are struggling 5-10 years down the road of still post-grad, post-athlete, whether it's high school, college, grade school, whatever it may be?
Yeah, this is easier said than done, but not being afraid to ask for help. And I don't know if you start with someone you trust and you feel most familiar with, so it doesn't sound as scary. But I said earlier, like, you don't know what you don't know. And there are people, I think, man, there's more help today than we've had like in past years. And we continue to have more and more resources. And if you can just be brave enough to put yourself out there to be like, I just don't know. I don't know what to do. But no man is an island. I say that all the time. Like we don't get to these places by ourselves. None of us do. I didn't get here by myself, and I know you sure didn't get here by yourself. So
no, it takes an army for sure. Whether that's an army of two, whether it's an army of one.
Right. That's right. What about for you? What about for you?
I think if I could give anybody advice that is in this awkward space of like not really sure what to do, I think start off and find what is something that interests you, whether it's continuing your education or whether it's athletics or whether it's art or music. Just find what you're passionate about. But also before that, I think giving yourself some time to process being done. Yeah. I think I never gave myself that full time to process not being an athlete anymore. And so in my second year being done, you know, I'm in my second year now going into I'm going into my third year being done, which is crazy. But I think now I'm finally processing like what it really means to like, what is my identity now that it's not an athlete. Right. And so I think just being able to find that early on would have helped me so much more, I think. So just finding what you love and going with it, I think. But yeah. And so with all that being said, there's a particular reason why we're doing this kind of podcast too, is that we are starting to incorporate something called the Life After Sport support group.
That's right.
And we feel like there's a lot of traffic in former athletes that feel like they need a community. And this is something I wish I had. I wish I had. And so it's kind of in the works right now, but we want to put it out there. And if you are interested and want to find out more information, please reach out to millenniumhope.com or Sarah, and it's SARAH at millenniumhope.com, her email, and get in contact and just tell her you're interested and she'll be able to give you more information on that too. So this is kind of a little series we're starting to do about the life after sport. And so we would love to see you there in our support group that's going to be coming very, very soon.
That's right. We'll state it.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Derick, for joining me again. And I'll see you on the next one.
All right. See ya.